into the when that dries up. So basically what I'll do is I'll take, if I'm actually on a job or I'm doing a demo, I just have Q-tips and I'll just put a little bit of the acid on a Q-tip and again go to the corner and just dab it. I'm not pouring lemon juice or acid all over the floor. Just take this is a Tylenol grout cleaner and you'll see the difference. Yeah, and you can hear the damage is much deeper. Okay. So if it reacts to, if it scratches, it's the same thing. No acid cleaners can be used. The damage can be removed. I can polish it chemically. I can achieve the factory finish. The maintenance is going to be a little bit higher again because it scratches easier, and the dullness is caused by damage. If it doesn't scratch, just like the acid did, acids are okay to use. It can't be chemically polished. When I say mechanically polished, that means abrasives. Okay, diamonds. The factory finish, it's going to be hard to match, and the dullness is caused by poor maintenance. Now here's the reason I do both of those tests is I want to make sure there's nothing else going on the floor, right? If I do an acid test and I'm pretty sure it's marble and the acid doesn't react, okay, that makes me lean to, I'm sorry, I'm in your way. That kind of makes me lean to, it's a non-calcium carbonate stone. Well, what if the customer didn't tell you that they've been mopping glowing the travertine for the last 10 years. And now we've got a wax or we've got some type of topical finish on it, right? If the acid doesn't touch the actual stone, it's not going to react, okay? So I do my scratch test, and it scratches, okay? But if there's, in most cases, if there's a wax or a coating on top, it's not going to scratch white because I'm not scratching the stone, okay? So now I've just saved myself a lot of trouble by identifying the fact that now I've got something on my travertine or on my marble I have to remove before I can even think about polishing it or making it look better. Okay? And that's why I put down here, if the scratch isn't white, now you're dealing with some type of top coat or coating that you're going to have to remove. Okay? So that's why I do both the tests to make sure. There are some stones out there too that won't react with it. Some of your darker marbles won't react as fast with the lemon juice, or some of your lighter acids, your greens the same way. So if I put some acid down or some lemon juice down and I'm not sure if it's reacting or not, and I'm not getting the etch I'm expecting, my scratch test will back that up that it's still got a calcium carbonate stone. So I always do both tests. In fact, moving forward, if you guys are out on a job site and you're having trouble identifying stone and you send a picture or you call, and ask me if I can help you identify it. The first thing I'm going to ask you if you did either one of the tests, or when you saw the stone or inspected the stone, did you see etching or scratching? Because if you did, it kind of tells you you've already done the test, right? So if you go back to like the porcelain pictures we saw that look like kind of like that marble there, if I do the acid test and the scratch test, it identifies it as being man-made or porcelain or quartz, and not marble. So basically what it comes down to is if it scratches or etches, it can chemically be polished. I can remove damage if I need to. And if I clean it, I got to stay with an alkaline cleaner or cleaners that are higher pH. If it doesn't scratch and doesn't react with acid, regardless of what kind of surface it is, tells me I can clean it with pretty much anything I want to. And I need to stay away from abrasives because I don't want to scratch it because I'm not going to be able to make it look like the rest of the floor that I'm working on. Okay? So it doesn't matter what type it is. Basically what matters is it scratching, what it does when I do those two tests. Does that make sense? And that will save a lot of problems. Okay? And keep you out of a lot of trouble. Okay, we're going to getting busy on the report. So what is the difference between stains and damages? And this is, or damage in the stone, and this is important because you're going to hear people talk about stains a lot of the times, which aren't stains. It's damage or etched. Okay, so if we look at some of these pictures, okay, is this a stain or an etch? Picture's kind of bad. Is this a stain or is it damage? Is that a stain or is it damaged? 3 more. that a stain? Well, I've already gave this one away. We know those aren't stains. Okay, what it comes down to, stains are always darker. Damage or etching is always lighter. Okay, so even if a customer is telling you that they've got stains on their floor, so when somebody calls me and says I've got a surface, I got a countertop, I got a floor that's got stains, and I need to remove the stains, I ask them what kind of stone they're working on. Okay, if they tell me it's granite or quartz, then I know it's probably a stain because those don't etch, right? Because there's no calcium. If they tell me that it's travertine or marble, then I ask them, what does the stain look like? Is it lighter or darker? Now I don't even have to see a picture. If it's lighter, I know it's an etch. And if it's an etch, I know that I can sand that etch away and repolish it back up. I know that if it's not a deep etch, with the diamond impregnated pads or crystallizer or powder, I can just repolish that etching and not have to do any kind of restoration work on it. If they tell me it's darker, now I know that sanding it and doing all that other stuff and running pads on it or running chemical on it isn't going to make a difference. Stains have to be pulled out with poultices. And basically, to remove a stain, you're looking at basically a 3-day process. Okay? Depending on the type of stain, depends on what type of poultice you use. The poultice that StonePro has is for oil, which is in most cases that's a stain. But if it's an organic stain, the Akimi has products for like wine, coffee, urine, blood, anything that's organic, right? Because you remove a coffee stain or a red wine stain differently than what you would pull an oil stain out, right? You're using degreasers for one, and then you're using cleaners that would be more sodium hydroxide or peroxide based to remove the organic. So being able to identify your stain is what's important. Okay, and I'll be honest, in our industry, a lot of guys doing the work aren't doing a lot of stain removal because you're not getting paid for going back 3 days. You got to go in, the poultice is a mud, you put it on top of the stain, you cover it plastic for 24 hours, you come back, you pull the plastic off and let it dry for 24 hours. And then you got to go back the next day and clean up the mess. So a lot of guys will just explain how to do it, but they're not removing stains because it's a 3-day process. Okay, those are just the products depending on what the stain is. You've got rust stains. These are the products we carry. You've got organic stains, which is this one, and then we have the two for oil stains. If you're dealing with countertops around the stove, it's pretty clear what you're dealing with. All right. Okay. So the rest of the PowerPoint basically is going to be what we're doing hands-on. So that's what I wanted to cover in the beginning, is kind of so you know what you're looking at, how to identify what you're looking at, and then how to just confirm what you're looking at before you start working. Okay. Any questions?
A lot of time, how can you identify if it's oil or organic?
Where it's at might help. Well, that's why like the StonePro and most of your ready-made poultices that are out there are for oil, because that's the biggest problem. If it's coffee or if it's wine or something like that, it's going to have some color to it. But on your countertops, more times than not, it's going to be oil. And if you're not sure what it is, you can combine poultices to make sure that you've got to remove the stain, because it's going to be one of two types of cleaners.
So we can try both. Spend another day in there.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, because if it's like soy sauce, it's going to be dark just like oil. Then you don't know if it's something that doesn't have any.
Does the Akemi react the same as StonePro? Like, does it handle oil as well, or is it only?
Well, there's two. Yeah, if you have the oil, the StonePro makes a really good poultice. The Akimi, the one that's in the bottle up there, that's more for like wine and organic.
Not for oil.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they also have one for rust. So, and that's rust that would be on the surface. A lot of times on that white, you see this in bathrooms and in showers all the time, and you'll see where it's starting to yellow. The gray in that one is iron in the veins, and that tile tends to rust from the inside out. You go into a bathroom and see the yellow that kind of follows the veins around, and the customer wants you to fix it. There's really nothing you can do. because they've either got a water issue coming from behind or it wasn't sealed correctly, which we'll talk about sealing later. And so as water goes in, any kind of damage or crack or void in the veining where water can actually get to the iron, and it just starts rusting from the inside out. It's a huge problem.
That's why a lot of guys
Yeah, you know.
don't recommend marble mosaics or whatever mosaic marbles on the shower pans.
Yeah, but every designer in the world does it, right?
They do it.
And it's a nightmare. If you look up that particular stone, Mike Carrera, on the internet, you'll see it in showers, and it's all yellow.
It's always something.
Well, that's why you're here, right? So yeah.
So I have a question then. In the shower, it's not a good idea to use natural stone, right?
Well, it depends. I mean, the travertine, that one is a particular problem. That's why, like now, they're doing a lot of quartz or a lot of Petrofina you're seeing in the showers, or the porcelain.
Oh, I see the old one. They really don't last long. You see stains like everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of water.
Some are sealed properly. I
No.
never see it properly.
No.
No,
and-
proper maintenance, no.
And with the exception of this gentleman, most of your guys putting in and most of your designers know the issues, but they don't. As long as the customer wants to pay for it and they get it in and it's good. Yeah, and we get people in here all the time going, why didn't they tell me that when they installed it? Right? So, okay. So we're gonna start off with doing some of the different type. Maintenance is really what a lot of restoration guys spend a lot of their time doing. Just taking floors that are worn or dulled out a little bit from wear, bringing a polish back and making them look better, right? Partly because a lot of people don't want to pay $3 a square foot, right? So they're going to take the damage and they're going to make it look better. But when we do the restoration process later, when you're looking at 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, depending on the damage, you start to understand why it's so expensive to have guys come in and do it. And to be honest, $3 a foot for a granite floor is pretty low because the granite's such a different animal. So you're going to save yourself a lot of money by being here. So your maintenance basic is a process of bringing the surface with minor or moderate damage back to a polish. So you're taking the damage that's on the floor and you're really hiding it more than you are removing it. Like I said, it's a majority of the work that stone guys do, and it doesn't remove. Like we'll do some work here where I etch the floor, and we'll be able to make those areas shiny, but you're still going to see the damage that it put in to the marble. So it depends on what your customer wants to see. And then the restoration is basically where we use abrasive diamonds, remove the damage, just like damaging a coffee table. If it's deeply scratched, you got to get your sandpaper out. Start with the very coarse sandpaper, remove the damage, and work your way up to finer and finer grits of sandpaper until you get to the finish you want. That's what we're doing on the floors. Okay, so we have 3 options when it comes to maintenance crystallizer, and we'll start here. I mean, to maintenance. We have crystallizing, which I'm going to show you first, because when you crystallize, your floor needs to be dry, and everything else we're going to do today involves water, so I'm going to show you the crystallizer first. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and give you more damage on different parts of the floor, so we can take turns doing this.
What a coincidence. We sell stuff. You buying stuff? I'm Mark. You take care of that. I'm going to play with you. Is this SB by chance?
And the thing when you're talking floors, and for those of you that are cleaning carpet, you know that basically everything we put in our mouth, especially like a travertine floor in the kitchen or marble floor in the kitchen, everything we pull out of the refrigerator, with the exception of maybe the butter, is acidic. Mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, anything we drink. So if any of that stuff hits the floor on the way to the sink, this is the result.
Take a look. Let me read this.
So you know the finished product on the flooring is sealed? Does the seal repel it?
That's a good question. No. When you seal a floor, you're protecting it from staining, right? But it has nothing to do with etching, okay? Because etching takes place at the surface, and with staining. So, for an example, if you've got a floor and you've sealed it, and somebody spills red wine, you can wipe the wine up without it staining the marble red, but the tannic acid is still going to leave an etch mark. Right? So it's important that your customer understand, hey, I'm going to seal it right, but you still have to be careful with acids. Okay? There's no way you can protect against acids unless you put a finish, like a wax. The problem is, that's why most countertops are quartz and granite, right? Because they don't. If I have a quartz or especially a granite countertop in the kitchen, that granite's harder than any blade I'll ever use, so my knives won't scratch it, my skillets won't scratch it, and anything I cook on there that gets on the counter won't etch it, right? Marble, and now, again, I've seen a lot of people start to put quartzite, which is a natural stone, in their kitchens, and some of the quartzite's really cool looking, but they are either dealing with etching every day, or they're calling these companies out that do the tough skin or the anti-etch, which are films, and now you're talking $75 to $100 per square foot to protect that. And then they get it done, and now it doesn't etch anymore, right? But it looks like it's got something on top of it. You lose that natural look. Yeah.
Question, like the stone, where the natural stone we bought, they always have a kind of glossy finish on top. And that's a coating, or is it just polish?
No, that's the polish, and that's what we're going to do today. Yep.
Okay, so that's like some sort of coating already on that.
No, that's a polish. It's a polish. And on the marbles and the travertines, that polish we can go as high as we want, and we can do that three ways. We can do so. This is a crystallizer. What a crystallizer is basically is it's a spray buff. Stone Pro makes this Polish Pro. So there's a couple types. The other ones are pink, and they require steel wool. This is the only crystallizer I know of that doesn't require steel wool. So instead of using a $8 or $9 steel wool pad and replacing every couple hundred square feet, here I can use the regular old Hawks Air Extreme pad. Okay, so now I got one pad that's about $8 that I can do thousands of square feet with. I'm not darkening the grout joints from the steel wool. I don't have to worry about leaving little pieces of steel wool behind that might rust, that will rust if I don't pick them up the next time the floor gets mopped. So it's just an easier process. And this is a hands-on class. I know how to run the machine. A lot of you guys might know how to run the machine too, but you're here to learn. So I will start this, but I would appreciate volunteers today. Has everybody here run one of these machines before?
Yeah.
You have? You have it? Boy, are we going to have fun today. Have you? No. We're going to have fun. I know you guys have. Have you run? I saw the machine brought in. You guys run one of these before?
Yeah, it's a heavier one.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's basically they're geared differently, and the plate we use, where carpet times, if you're doing bonnets or you're doing tile and grout cleaning with brushes, that's a 40-pound plate, so we've got about 135 total pounds. Someday I'm going to invent a handle. So I can take a floor that's actually, so what we did on this floor is I took it down to about an 800 just to kind of simulate what damage would look like. So here you've got the higher polish, and then up here. So So basically, I'm going to just take this and put. I don't put a whole lot down because I want my pad. I don't want my pad to get wet, and I just run this wet to dry. And then put more down. And I'm going to repeat this like 4 to 6 times. And what I'm doing is I'm building a hard, clear crystal on the surface of the stone. So I'm really not polishing. A lot of times guys will say that it's, I'm putting a coating down or a wax down. It also will help increase the slip resistance. Makes the floor harder to scratch. It's really popular when you go into hotels and you see them out buffing the floor at the middle of the night. They're spraying something on the floor, and because I'm not using water, I don't have to shut anything down. I'm not making noise. And what you're going to get with the crystallizers, you get a much bigger wow factor, meaning the farther you get away from it, the better it looks, right? When you walk into, say, a casino in Vegas, nobody looks down at the floors. They're always walking forward, and they're looking straight ahead. So the floor looks like it's got a perfect polish. Hawksair Extreme pad, yeah. We need to create a little bit of heat, so you don't want to run a white pad or a tan pad that you would use if you're powder polishing. And you can feel it when you guys get to run the machine. You can hear it starting to grab the floor, okay? And that's kind of what it does. And every time I put it down, you can see my polish getting a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. Now, if I were to take this and I would just pull the trigger 8 or 9 times, now my pad's just getting wet. I can't generate my heat, so it's better. Yeah, and somewhere about the 4th or 6th time I put it down, it's as good as it's going to get. Once you get used to doing this, and once you kind of understand how much to use, one guy can do 2,000 to 3,000 square feet an hour. So as far as the maintenance goes, it's probably my least when it comes to removing damage and actually polish the floor. On a scale of 1 to 3 of the 3 different options we have, it's probably number 3. But it's fast. This will work. You can use this on your granite to help polish your granite out. But what it does is it gives you an inexpensive option for your customer. If they don't want to pay, and you'll see even with the diamond impregnated pads that we're going to do next, it can be 2 or 3 or 4 steps, right? So you're going to have to be at $1, $1.25, $1.50 a square foot if you're going to make money because there's more labor involved. This gives you an option where you can be 75 cents, 60 cents. Because a gallon of this will do 6,000 square feet. So you're about, so you're not into it a lot. And if you can do 2,000 or 3,000 square feet an hour, there's not as much labor in there.
Just crystallizing the surface.
Yep.
And not removing the eights.
That's why when you're standing back, it looks better than when you're standing. Next time you're in Vegas and you go into a casino, when you walk in the door and you're looking across, it looks like everything's really super high polished. Walk in about 20 feet and look down. Those floors are hammered. But nobody looks down. Well, you guys will now, but most people don't look down. Okay, so I'm gonna, and I brought this floor down yesterday and there's still a little bit of water. You can see how I'm getting those streaks and the lines kind of coming out of the grout joint. It's because I still have water in the, and I wouldn't crystallize a floor that's this dull. I would bring it up, and you'll see that later when we're doing the restoration work. Okay, so I'm going to let somebody else take care of the other ones. But like if you're standing back here where you're at, that's a pretty decent polish. And I've kind of hidden my etch, but I haven't gotten rid of it. But if you come here and you stand on top of it and look down, it doesn't look near what, and you can hear but it doesn't look near as good here as it does back where you're standing. Right? So that's why when you're crystallizing, it's popular commercially because it's inexpensive. If any of you have done commercial work, you know that guys managing those properties want it to look perfect, but they don't want to spend any money. So this is perfect. People aren't looking down.
What if the grout's dirty? Will that help or not really?
No. No. Well, if the grout is even with the stone, the pad itself might clean it a little bit.
Right.
Right? But no. And the thing is, you'll hear a lot of people tell you this is a coating, or the floor can't breathe when you put that on. That's not true, because if the floor couldn't breathe, I wouldn't be able to etch it, and I wouldn't be able to clean the grout. But I can still etch it, and I can still clean the grout.
So if the grout's dirty, we still gotta spray it, fire it up like we're cleaning a tile first, get that shit clean, and then go through all the
Yeah, now when you're using powders or diamond impregnated pads, see, a lot of times too, we're using non-center grout when we're doing stone, right? So our grout joints aren't going to be any wider than a 1/16 of an inch, right? So if they are, you need to be careful, because it's probably a sanded grout. Now you got a whole other set of issues, right? And unlike porcelain or ceramic tile, or ceramic anyway, your edges aren't beveled, because when you've got a 1/4 inch grout joint, the edges of that tile have to be beveled a little bit so we wouldn't break, right? So your grout in that situation always lays lower than the tile. Most of the time with your travertine and your marble, it's a flat floor. So if you're using diamond impregnated pads, those pads will clean. So that's why I always tell guys, if you're doing a powder polish, or you're doing diamond impregnated pads, or you're doing diamond work, do that first. Let that do 90% of the cleaning. Then you have to go back and spot clean a couple areas. But if you're gonna do all that cleaning first, then go through and do the restoration or the maintenance, you're doubling down on your work.
So, as far as where I'm concerned, I would clean it with an acid, and then I would use that?
On the granite,
On the granite.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
acid first, and then,
Yeah, a diluted acid or something else. If you can find something that's not acidic but that removes water mineral, because that's really what you need to do, you can use that. That would be safer than an acid. And I don't mean safer on the granite, I mean safer on things around. Like you get any of that acid on if it's like if you got it in the kitchen, if you got stainless steel appliances, any of that acid, now you're going to burn the stainless, and you got a whole other issue.
what
Yeah.
about vinegar?
Huh?
What about vinegar?
Vinegar's okay too, but it will also, you don't want to touch any of the metal with it.
It'll ache it as acid.
Yeah, yeah. Then you're going to come back, and I'm going to have to tell you what you use to polish your stainless steel, because I deal with that all the time too. All right, who wants to take care of some of this damage up here? Who wants to run the machine?
I'll do it.
All right, I'll let you.
I'll bend down so I can reach it.
Yeah, I'll let you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, I didn't 175, same shit.
And it doesn't matter what handle you have on it, right?
It doesn't matter. It's just a flaw in the whole.
There you go.
Spit on it.
Yeah, here, I'll let you. I'll get it where you want, and then that way we don't have to both deal with it. All right. Where you want to take care? What one you want to take care of?
We're gonna do what you sprayed those ones. Those ones you're standing on, right? Those like 8 right there.
Why am I blind? Right in here?
Yeah, these are the ones you put it on.
That's one that has the kitchen right there.
This one's.
Oh, okay.
So we'll do that section.
All right.
there.
Yeah. You want to spray? You want me to spray?
I'll spray it.
All
So
right.
we're just putting down a couple.
One on each side of the machine and buff it. I will. I haven't, but I will. Oh, it's right here. I'm sorry. Right here. You just pull out on that. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of awkward.
Yeah, there we go.
Uh-oh. Here, I'll hand it to you once you get started. How about that?
That's right. It's safety that's doing it.
I know it's a pain. There you go. If you have a burnisher, basically a burnisher is a 20-inch machine. It's like 1,500 RPMs. You can use this on the burnisher because it's moving faster and you're creating more heat. It speeds up the process a lot, right?
So ground a little more of this.
Yep.
Rob, what is CoStar under? I can't find him.
Ernie, Elite.
Here or there? I can't find him in this system.
He may not be in that system. He doesn't buy his Stone Pro directly from Hard Rock very often. Amazon or online. When he does, because that's normally I'll talk to him and fix a problem and he gets what he needs. Yeah, you'll feel it really start to.
Yeah, it's grabbing now.
One there and one there.
This 175 isn't weighted, it's the driver plate that is.
Right. Yeah, the dry plate, it's easier on the machine. Yeah, and if you have like a unicorn on top with the weights on top, it tends to make getting an even polish harder because the machine's moving back and it's top heavy.
Fairly dry like this. Feels like a little thing.
And so when you're talking to a customer, how long will this last?
Depends on what they do to it after.
Yeah, I think of Mark who just asked me a question. His answer is forever if you don't walk on it. But it's hard to tell because it's all traffic, right? If you're doing this in somebody's house, I will tell you under a normal situation, a family of 4 and dogs that aren't running and peeing everywhere, you're good for a few years, right? But if you've got if you've got a family or it's a house where they entertain all the time and they're having parties all the time and they got 4 dogs that are running loose, it may only last 6 months. It just depends on the environment. Now, the other thing is if you, if you do this in somebody's house and you walk out and they drop their coffee on that floor where they drop their coffee, it's over. This can slow it down a little bit, but it's not going to prevent it. And when I say slow it down, I mean slow it down by seconds, not by minutes. So now we've done it, we've sprayed it 4 times? So now what we're going to do, I'm going to do it one more time. If you see improvement, we're going to do it again. Because it's only going to get to a point. So if we do it this time and there's no improvement, then and then you repeat that process throughout the however many thousands of square feet you're doing.
Would you still seal after this?
Yes.
What's the right RPM we should use? This one looks like it's slow.
All the what we call swing machines, or a lot of guys call them 175 machines because that's the RPM. The way these are geared down, though, so the torque on so they have a little bit more torque is they're like 168.
Sorry, I had
Okay.
it.
Yeah. See, now that etching, because I didn't leave the acid on there that long, it completely removed the etching, or made it super hard to see.
When he wakes up, email.
Yeah. So, and again, quick and easy. You went from this to that.
Yeah, I'm looking right at it from here. It doesn't look different, so I probably gotta look at it from the side.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah. There's no reason not.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah. You come back over here, it looks like it's a highly polished floor.
yeah.
See the difference? That's that wow factor, right? Now, is that going to be as popular in somebody's home? Yeah, is that going to be as popular in somebody's home as it would be commercially? Probably not, because you know how homeowners are. They're right behind you doing this, right?
Yeah, they're looking at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else want to give this a try?
I'll give it a try.
All right. Did we etch up here? Tell you what, why don't we do a couple rows of the travertine?
So we just did there was crystallizing.
Yeah, we're going to crystallize one more time. You need that? Is that good for you, or you need it the handle a little bit lower?
Lower.
Yeah.
That's me. It's a little high for me.
Yeah. To me, this is about $79 a gallon, but it's going to do about 5 to 7,000 square feet.
Well,
Yeah.
Everybody gets a 10% discount for attending today.
Okay.
Don't tell anybody.
You just did. I was going to keep it a secret. There, you got it. Then you got to pull that safety out that's behind. Oh. Can you call? Can you? It's Lenny.
Oh, Lenny Kravitz?
Can you answer that for me?
Safety makes that machine
Yeah. Oh, I forgot you've never done it before. Here, yeah. So here's what we're going to do. When you're running the machine now, you've got a good handle. Actually, the lower this handle is, the easier it is to do. You notice when you turn it on how it wants to back into you?
Yeah.
Let it back into you. So let me just show you real quick. Yeah. So when I turn this on, okay, I'm going to let it back into me here, and now I'm just going to rest it here. All right. Instead of trying to hold it out here is where you get into problems. Let it back up and let it rest. What happens is that when you start it up, if you're down on it at all like this, it's going to shoot to your left. If you're lifting up on it at all, it's going to go to your right. That's kind of how you steer it, right? So I just let it back up. But what most guys try to do, they try to hold their hands out here and try to muscle it. So I'm going to hold it and keep it steady for you so you can start it up. Then work on just keeping it in one spot. Kind of get the feel for how much up and down play you've got, right? But if you let it back up in here, really the only reason you even have anything on the handle is just to keep it turned on, because I can hold it like this, and it's going to follow me wherever I want it to go. All right? So, but see how it is now because the handle's down? You see how? So, there you go. I'll hold it so it doesn't go anywhere. Go and start it up. Okay. Now just kind of up and down, real slight, and kind of get a feel. Doesn't take much. But see, you're still holding it out in front of you. Let it kind of rest it on your hip. Yeah. But here's the thing though. Here's what I found when he's holding it with two hands. He's battling it. So do me a favor and hold it with just take your right hand.
Rest it right here.
Yeah.
And you're just going to kind of do this with your leg.
So take one hand off. Just put it. As soon as you take a hand off, now you're not trying to fight it anymore. Now you're going to work with the machine.
Yeah, I feel it.
See? Going, you put your other hand back on. But whenever I have somebody take a hand off and all of a sudden they've got to work with it instead of bully it, it makes it easy right away. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so just, I got you. So back in 2001, when I was deciding if I wanted to leave what I was doing and come here, we didn't have that room there. We used to do the classes back here. And back in 2001, you can feel it grabbing now, huh? Hold on to it. Push down, other way. There you go. There you go. By the end of the day, you'll have it down. But we had chairs like this, and back in those days, not a lot of people were doing marbles, so we'd have 40, 45 guys here. And back here, and we had chairs, but they were like 6 rows deep. And so Michelle, who worked at her at the time, was doing the class. And she had guys coming up, and at that point, nobody's run. So she'd get down and hold the machine, get everybody going, and she called me over and got the handle for me, set, and stepped away. And I literally took out the whole first row. I started here and didn't let go of the machine, and I plowed through everybody. I didn't touch a machine for like 6 months.
We used to teach new guys on a vacant mobile home. We used to have an account where we do recode mobile homes years ago. And I take the machine in, they go right through the wall. It's okay, it was like that.
Yep.
Blow out the closet door. It's okay, it was like that.
Yeah.
That was the thing,
But once you get this machine down, you've got the hardest part down.
Yeah, I can feel either you go up or you go down.
Yeah, so just,
Close to
yeah.
your body. Close to your body. And just barely up and down. Up and down, do like this. Which is like,
You know what's awesome about that? You got all kinds of people watching you on our Facebook channel live. You just made it a PG-13. All right, one last time. Hey, but that's why you're here, right? It's easy to come and sit in a chair the whole time.
On the travertine, will this do it a lost finish or like a saddle?
It depends on the level of the travertine. right? If I polish any of this higher, then it's going to add to that, right? So we're going to do the diamond impregnated pads, and I'll actually show you what it will do. Now, here's something does it look like it's still getting better, or are we pretty much hit?
I think that's as good as it's gonna get.
Because you're done? All right, you're good. All right. I'll get it. I'll get it. So basically, the advantages to the Polish Pro: no steel welds, quick and easy, inexpensive, most popular commercial maintenance, it hardens the surface. These are all pretty much popular for all of these. But it's, it's just, a lot of the old timers still like to use the pinks. And they have like the Spanish, or what we import this from Italy. It's hotter, it's harder to use. You can etch the floor if you're not careful what you're doing, but it just works much faster. But what I wanted to show you, yeah. So basically, it's like what we've done here, but this is what we'll do when we get to the diamond impregnated pads later. This is a much higher finish. This is straight out of the box, so you're about a 400 grit finish, right? So if I would have done this at something that was 800 or 1500 or 3000 finish, I would get a higher look. Matter of fact, I can just show you real quick. I'm gonna have to go through a couple slides here. Okay, so what we're gonna go to the diamond impregnated pads next. So what diamond impregnated pads are basically, Stone Pro makes a couple of them. We have the Elite pads, okay, and then we have the Zoom pads. So the Zoom pads are really popular on travertines because you have seven different steps, so seven different looks or patinas or satins that you can do on a travertine. The Elites are, and they work great on marble too, but the Elite system gets you from step 1 of actually step 3 of the Zoom pads to step 7 of the Zoom pads in 3 steps. So it gets you to a higher polish quicker in less steps, right? The Zoom pad, basically the diamonds on the Zoom pad are in a shellac and then they're sprayed onto the pad. On the Elite pads, it's into an epoxy. These are a little bit more rigid. Okay, the most popular look on travertine is somewhere between 800 and 3000. So that's what I want to show you here. So this is out of the box. That's kind of where that is now. When we go to the 800, we get a little bit of reflectivity in the fill, but we get a little bit more color. When we go from 800 to 1500, see how our color starts to change, right? As our scratches get smaller, we expose less calcium, so we're getting more of the natural look of the stone. Okay, and we're starting to get more clarity. As we move up in these grits, and even when we do the restoration work later, each step we do, it's important to get out of your chair, kind of get an idea of what 400 looks like, what 800 looks like. So when you walk into a situation, it's easier to kind of know where you want to start. Okay, and then 3000. Okay, no chemical. Just mechanical polish with these. Now you asked about can we get a higher polish or a high gloss just doing the crystallizer, okay? Well, if we get to this point or we're at this point on our floor and all I do is add the Polish Pro crystallizer. Whoops. Did I not have that slide in there? I didn't put it in there, or am I out of line? Okay, we'll do that. I don't know why that slide is in here, where I've taken this one and then added the crystallizer to it. And now you can get a high shine. So later on when we do restoration work, one of our options is to remove the damage with the diamonds or the dot pads, which are these, and then up to 3000 and I can crystallize and I've got a high shine. That's one of our options. Okay, now, Here's the facts on your diamond impregnated pads, especially on these. They're flexible, right? So on your lower, more aggressive grits, you're going to bite into the softer parts of the marble. So you can maybe leather the veining a little bit or get what we call orange peel, okay? So you have to think of these pads as polishing pads. So either I'm going to do a maintenance polish on a floor that just needs a little bit of help, which means I'm starting at 800 or higher. I'm not running 200. The 200 and 400 are for honing a floor down and leaving it there, right? But if you're going to do a polish and you're going to start too low, let me just give you a sample. So you can see these are before and after from an actual customer. You can see that our polisher is pretty good, but I can tell by looking at that picture you're about a 1500. So all I had to do here was go. If I was using the zoom pads, I would go 3,000, 8,000, 11,000. So in 3 steps I get here. This picture we've got a little bit better polish. This was 2 steps. This has a little bit more damage. This was 3 steps. So these are all no chemical. These are just 2 to 3 steps of the pads. This was done with the Elite pads, and this was step 3 only to go from this look to that look. So it depends on where you're starting. But the truth behind the diamond impregnated pads, and this is super important. See the texture? That's what these pads will do if you start too low. Okay, because they're biting into the softer parts of the marble. This poor guy, to this day I've never met him in person, but about 7 or 8 years ago he called me. He had 7,000 square feet in a high-end clubhouse at a golf course that was about to open just outside of Orlando. And I had done some teaching on a webinar, so he had my information and called me. And the guy was literally in tears. So on this floor, on 7,000 square feet, this is where controlling your environment really comes in. So to know what process you're going to use, normally you'd go in on maybe something like this where you're looking at 16 square feet. Here's what I think is going to work. I'm going to do it there. If it works, then I repeat that process. I've controlled my whole job in that one area in 15 minutes. This guy did all 7,000 square feet. And he used monkey pads at the time, which are just a different brand of these, right? He went 200, 400, 800, 1,500, 3,000, 8,000. So he's 6 steps in, and he starts on his 11,000, because you don't see this until you get a high polish, right? So he calls me, and he says, I don't know what went wrong, but my 11,000 monkey pad just ruined this floor. And what happened is he ran out of water. When he came back in, about a couple hundred square feet, this is what he saw. And he charged $7 a square foot. He charged $1 a square foot, and he was doing 7 steps. So that's what, $49,000 they were going to pay him to do this job. The damage was so bad. But the thing was, he did 6 steps on 7,000 square feet instead of figuring out what he wants to do. And he ended up not getting paid because the clubhouse was a week late opening. So after his 6 steps to fix this, he had to go down to the diamonds. Because the reason we do either these or just individual 3-inch pucks that Velcro on, these don't flex, these cut flat. So this is what I want to use to remove the damage. Then I can go to these if I want to. Okay. Yeah, but this damage was so bad he had to go all the way down to 50 grit diamond, and then go 50, 120, 220, 400, 800, 1,800, and then back to his 3,000, 8,000, 11,000. But he was there 2 weeks, about 2 weeks longer than they planned on. Did nothing but work on this floor, and they didn't make a penny on it. So control your environment. Remember, these are either honing pads where you're going to hone it down and leave it, or polishing pads. They are not restoration pads. Okay, I want to drive that home because it can be a problem.
Hey, so honing is like when it came out the box or something?
A honed floor doesn't have polish to it. So this right here is honed. Okay, and some will say this is honed. Okay, but it's still got some reflectivity. To me, if it's truly honed, there's nothing, you can etch it or whatever, and it's not going to change. Yeah, so honed, satin, patina. There's a lot of looks to it.
Hey, so when it comes out the box, what level is it at?
Pardon me?
When it comes out the box, what level is it at?
Well, your marbles are going to be super high. Travertine is normally 400 to 600 out of the box. Okay, that's out of the box. on. Okay. All right. So what we'll do is we will run. We can start low on the other one so you can see for yourself what the texturing looks like. Okay, and then when we do the restore, when we restore the floor later and go back to them, you'll see what it looks like when it's done. When it's done right. Okay.
The guy who screwed that, his mistake was he went too low.
He used the diamond impregnated pads to restore the floor and then polish it. So the lower grits, because they're aggressive, bit into the softer parts of the marble, which you'll see here when we do it, right? So when you're doing restoration, we're running either dot pads or 3-inch pucks, okay? The dot pads have gotten really popular, just one, because they're on one pad, your change is faster. You've got, and the fact that they're on the pad, you're not gonna get as much resin smear because that pad's kind of cleaning up behind you. And you don't have to have the weight. If you're gonna run the 3-inch resin pucks, you have to have a heavy dry plate. Okay, the resin on the dot pads, if you have, all you have is a stabby pad or the Mighty Lock pad, which is the one that has like the little nipples, the little plastic nipples on it, that don't weigh anything. You don't have to, with the dot pads, it's okay to run those.
Okay, so the gray will work. The green is a bit more clear.
Okay, so what we'll do is up here we'll run let's run these on the travertine so you can see the different levels. We'll just run them all the way across. Again, I'll get us started. And this will be great because the damage this puts in the floor will be the damage that we can remove when we restore the floor later. Okay? And then we'll run, when we're doing the marbles and stuff, we'll do the elite pads and show you the 3-step. Okay?
These guys just need water.
And the pads don't need, like when you're running the diamonds or the dots, you need more water because you got to keep the channels in the diamonds clean. Running these, a lot of times when I'm running the diamond impregnated pads, I refer just to spray bottle just to keep the floor wet. I don't need to flood it. And if I can keep from flooding the floor, my prep and my masking is less because I'm not throwing it, you know.
We just like, I think on the train we're just like spraying it a little bit as we went.
That's running diamonds. You can't do that.
Yeah, we were running the dip pads.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get this started. Then I have to. Nobody volunteers. Orlando's up.
Are these pads like the varnishment pads?
I hate this. I know. We used to have Mercury make them on the private labels. Stone Pro made them without the safety.
We're keeping this to keep it more wet.
Well, it's just hard. It's hard when you're using a water tank to control the water.
Yeah, the onboard sprayer is a bougie spray bottle.
Yep. Well, and those, and they spray in front of the machine, right?
They just spray right in front. You just, yeah, they're.
Yeah. So, and when I'm running these for the maintenance work, what I'll do is I'll look at a floor and try to get a feel for. I'm running lowers because we want to put the damage in the floor, and I want you to see what each grit looks like. But normally I'll look at a floor, like if I'm looking at this here where we haven't done any work yet, and say, okay, that I think I can probably start with like a 1500 pad. So I'll start one step higher, just in case. And when I run a pad, it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to make it worse, make it better, or not do anything. And I want it to make it better. So if my first pad isn't doing anything, I'm starting too high and I have to drop down a grit. If it makes it worse, and you can see how up here I'm already got, see how I'm getting that slurry? Okay, and that's a 200. Down here it hasn't yet because we crystallized this part and I haven't gotten through the crystal yet.
the dip pad, the step 1 dip pad, what is that?
About an 800. So you use the elites, the ones on the Hawks hair.
Right, the ones that we use the dip ones, the step 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, you have options. Like I'm showing you right there.
Yeah.
That can be done in 3 steps, right? That's easy.
Yeah.
But to get perfect, the diamond can look better. So what I'm saying is, there's always options. We talk about polishing, crystallizing powder. Talk about damage, right? Maintenance, light duty. It could be the elite pads.
I would never use this on my
Discussing
back.
these things are very important because
No.
the elite pad
I have horrible on my
is
back.
$69. The DOT pad is like $150.
Yeah.
So, but the results are a lot different. So see one there, and then you'll see how it looks better when you're done. So
Yeah. Okay. And just to be clear, remember we talked about how when you crystallize, how it hardens the floor and how that you're putting a hard crystal down? I'm just still trying to work to get a decent slurry where we crystallize this travertine.
oh yeah, the oscillating machines. All you need to do is take the what do they call it? Chamfer? What's it called? Oh yeah. Yes, but the Trinity machines don't they have the chamfer in it where it moves?
Took the tamping off.
Tamping. Okay.
The Carpet 11 tamping, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Carpet 11.
Yeah.
Talk about that the other day.
Yeah. Yeah, with the diamond impregnated pads on those machines, you got to be real careful.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when that oscillates, especially on some of your whites, remember Mark, doing that, it got like the dings and the fractures.
Also, though, if we're doing 6 passes here, you're going to do half that on that machine.
Yeah.
Because it works so fast, you could get that look faster than you.
Yeah, we got that look faster than we thought.
Yeah.
We just felt like we had to go over it.
Okay.
Right.
We got more.
Sometimes they can get more in-depth because you did that on the paint.
These damn handles.
More is better, sure.
This handle's.
I just did that with the donut. Half, and the other half. More is better. I should have had none.
Forget it.
You gonna stick around for a little bit? You gonna stick around for a little bit? It's gonna be on,
You want to be my assistant vacuumer?
Paul,
Get involved here.
check it out on the YouTube channel.
We're just going to vacuum this up. Handle. It's easier if you pull. It will do a better job with the squeegees if you pull backwards like that.
Hey, you know what? Talk to people about it. We'll have a truck now.
Yeah, see, we're not even, when it's wet, you can see where we textured. When it dries, you won't be able to see it. It's where we bit into the fill there.
Pretty nice big travertine, huh?
Huh?
Pretty nice big travertine,
Yeah.
huh? It was pricey. I didn't really realize how much it was. I asked for what I wanted, and that's what came in.
All right.
So then the buffers, water automatically?
Yeah. So when you run this next time, now you got to worry about safety, holding it in front of you, and delivering water. We'll just back everybody up.
They don't have another guy in training, right?
Yeah, well, once you get the hang of it, all right, I think we're good. And it's important to dry the floor before you go to the next step because you can't see what you've done. All right, I think we're good. Okay, so just so we know, I ran the 200. I'm not running the 4, the 8, the 15, the 3, the 8, or the 11. That's up to you guys. Come on. I know. Orlando will do it.
Get up. Have you tried it? Machine?
Fucking early. Don't they have like an afternoon class? Starts at 11. Exactly.
All right. I switched that other one out because that handle was a pain in the neck. This one's even worse. You good?
Johnny on the spot.
And then want to take that cord, step. Norma, here, put it on the other side. Okay, and then go ahead and get some water on there to start with, make it easier for you.
Well, the one,
Okay.
it used to come with the one that you clamp down, but after 2, it never the same.
Whoa, come on, rookie. There you go. You did. He practiced this morning. He practiced this. He didn't want to do it in front of everybody for the first time. He's out here this morning, just cruising around.
You got it. Lift it up. It's gonna go to the right. Up to the right. There you go.
Okay, so work on just keeping it
Now, Rob,
in one spot.
Mark, like you say, so. Mark, Rob, say. Hey, but when we're done, he's gonna have that experience. So if you haven't run it, this is like test driving a
So
car.
are you good to get up here on top?
That's your car. So this is the time you want to practice if you don't have that much experience.
Yeah, if you're gonna break something, break ours.
That's right. That should be our business card.
Lift up. Make you take a hand off it again.
Flyer. Just jump her down. Break. Don't break yours. Break yours. You go sit back.
Are these like the bonus straight pads? The ones you
Yes.
The 3-step is more like the Bonastra pads. Yeah, that's what we came out with those to compete against the Bonastra pads. Difference. So that would be
I just purchased those like 2 weeks ago.
these ones.
No, the other ones from.
Yeah, you know how they have you used them?
Yeah, my guy had.
Did they bleed on them?
No.
They must have fixed that, but that's yeah. So these are these actually these actually finished. So when Mark and I, when we got asked, because we had customers that like the Bonastra pads. So yeah, so Mark and I, we probably spent a year and a half, 2 years trying to find a resin that wasn't bleeding because they were having problems with their bleeding. Our step 3 is a little bit higher in grit than theirs. The price is better, but they polish out better. Matter of fact, we Stone Pro private labels now for a couple companies that were buying a Bonastra by the container. So when it's time for a second set of Bonastra pads, come see me and I'll work you out something so you can try these.
Yeah, they went up to probably list for like 78 now.
Yeah, that's what we paid.
Ours are 59 all day.
Yeah, and they're
No, Florida? No, I think it was called, I forgot the name of the company.
Diamond Tool?
Diamond Tool.
Yeah, they're good people. They carry our product too.
Oh, nice.
They're really good people. But the difference is the pads are made in Spain. So, give you an example, like one of the things, we did have success, like Rob said, we were not bleeding with the color. The color was the same. We were new. And I wanted people to associate us with Bonastra. I made the last one green. But we changed recently by adding more diamond. We changed up the resin slightly. And we made the face white. So there's no chance of it bleeding. So they're all white. In Florida, the guy who sold it to you, he can't do a damn thing. They come how they come, right? We can make the changes here. Like Rob and I can make that purple if we wanted to. But so that's how we evolved. And the ones in Spain, I mean, I'm familiar with them enough. They're not bad. They sell them.
Are you counting your passes by any chance?
So we looked at it. How can we improve it?
All right, let's do a total of 6. And I count a pass as one time across, not up and back. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they're
When you get back up there, we need to add a little bit of water.
we're meeting with them once a month. Teach them about our product. We carry all of our product there.
Hi.
At their store and then we ship out.
Yeah, the next order I'll definitely take you
Can you pull the trigger while you're running that machine down there? Can you reach it?
Yeah.
Watch your feet when he's adding water. Guys are like, it's like being at it's being a splash stone at SeaWorld. We need water when you get up top there.
Check you out, man. Did you have any experience or just today?
Just today.
You want to see me when I first started right now?
No. Yeah.
No, that's why he did earlier. And with nobody here, he had no problem.
Gotcha.
Grace said, make sure he wears an apron when he's working. I said, you don't wear aprons when you're working on the floor.
You gonna bake some cookies too?
Yeah, and again, I want to just reiterate too. Are you done? Let me add some water up here so we can vacuum it. Right, real quick. Whoops, I'll let you grab the vacuum again. I forget about that. It's easy, well, it makes it easier to vacuum up. All right, we're good. I just want to reiterate too, kind of what I said at the beginning. The advantage of what you've got here that you're not going to get to a lot of places. If you're a customer of Hard Rock and you're in here, you literally have Mark, myself, the guys at the counter. It's not a matter of coming and learning and then going out and being on your own, right? The one thing that we offer that nobody else offers is to be here for you technically when you need us. That is the biggest difference, and we take care of the customers that are buying here at the store. We've got options. We've got but I just want to make sure that it's not a matter. And I get calls all the time. Hey, I hate to bother you, or I hate to call you, or I get text. Hey, is it okay if I call you in a few minutes? And I tell them, don't. That's our job. That's what Mark and I are here for. So if, there's times we may have to leave a message, or you might have to try a couple of times. I tell guys, if you call and I don't answer because I'm doing something like this, send me a text and say, if it's an emergency, I'm in a spot, I got to get a question answered quick, and we'll be here for you. And there's, you can buy chemicals anywhere, but you're not going to get the service or the help that you need here. We partner with our guys all the time. Okay, who's going to do the 800? Mark, when we do after lunch, when we do the sealers, do you want to do that part? Where is the sample when you use? I couldn't find any of those chemicals. You know how he had that bin?
Pablo, got it. We have nothing in that.
14, 16, nothing. And in 16, there's like Pro Sealer and other samples. I don't know how old they are. I'll just have to grab a pint. Okay. Yeah. You can, but if you go high, like with the Monster pads or our Elite pads that I'm going to show you later, that last step, there's really no need to go crystallize. That's the advantage now. The difference between coming to a class like this today versus 4 or 5 years ago, you didn't have a lot of options. You had to come, learn how to do diamond work, and then learn how to use powders. And the powders are what gets scary, right? Because that's good. Hey, it just has that, it automatically shut off. Did we blow a breaker?
Probably did.
It's the only thing running. I don't know.
A Lucy here? Okay, no problem.
So the diamond impregnated pads, even when they first came out with like the monkey pads, and guys were having problems with them because they didn't know how to use them. So to really be good at it, you'd have to come in, learn how to do the diamond work, and then your your maintenance was either the crystallizer or powder polishing. The breaker on the box. So, but when you're running powders, you know, we finally came out with a powder called EMP where it was a little bit safer to use. It didn't get the results that some of the better powders got, but you didn't have to worry about burning stuff because all your powders are acid. So you'd leave here, then you'd have to get good and practice and learn how to polish the floor with the powder without burning the floor. Or you get a nice polish here, and when you go down to do your next section, not burning everything that you've already done up top. With the technology of the diamonds, and now that the diamond impregnated pads, the technology's gotten, you literally can compete out there chemical free. If you do it, if you know when to use diamond and when to use these as polishing. So, right, chemical free. The thing is, when you're not running chemicals, again, all your just the labor you spend on prepping becomes less, because when you're running powders, you're using tons of water, right? You've got to mask everything off, and we still want to mask off, but again, especially when we're running these powders, when you can just use a spray bottle, your overspray is minimal, right? Even running out of here, we're not, you know, if we were running chemical powders and things like that with as wet as we got to run, everybody's shoes would have white stuff all over them. So the learning curve has come way down, but the quality of the finish hasn't. So it makes it a lot less scary. It allows you to add on to what you're doing, and to make money with less, with less labor. Okay, that's the 800. You know, you'll hear the old time guys, oh, you can't get that, or you can't do this, or, and I get that, because diamond impregnated pads were around for 3 years, and I was going, no, you can't use those and compete with guys that are using powders, but that's just not true. You're experienced, right?
Yeah.
Look at it. Yeah. Out of my way. Mark would have had 2 15-minute breaks. What did Lenny want?
5 gallon of LSCF. I just finished it out.
Did you see what I charge him?
Yeah, 167. And I already charged it. They gave me a brand new credit card. I put it in
Okay.
so we did.
Awesome, thank you. I called his son, Isaac, yesterday going, where have you guys been? I haven't heard from you. So somebody up there had like a super duper customer appreciation day sale. So he said, yeah, we got everything we needed. So and how many passes? A lot of times the guys say, so how many passes do I do? Once you start moving up, normally it's going to be between 4 and 8, depending on how you run your machine. And when you watch me run the machine, I move a lot faster than that. So it's going to take me a pass or 2 more, right? The only step you don't know how many passes is your first step, because you don't know what it's going to take with what you're dealing with on the floor. But once you move up, every step you move up, the only purpose for that step is to remove the damage from the step before. And there's no guesswork into that. So where that travertine was then was now we're back out of the box. So now we're starting to bring it up. This would be the first level of patina or satin. And you can tell that we're not cutting as much because you don't see the white slurry like you did before. Sound like my father-in-law was calling. So my wife's on her phone.
Are you supposed to see a slurry every pass that you
The higher you go, it's less and less.
Because you're removing less and less.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Look at that. Man, so confident he can actually even live right on the edge. So let me go grab my other cards with the. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys one of my cards. These cards have a QR code on the back. If you just take a picture of that, it will load all my contact information into your phone automatically. If you don't have it.
Unless you swallow those, that's it. They're done. Thank you.
Yeah. So like I said, that QR code on the back will put it into your phone, all the contact information. I'll put one on your chair. You have cards, Mark? Yeah. There you go. That's all right.
Question.
Yeah.
So, when we're dealing with like hallways and stuff like that, and you can't get to the corners, can you just leave the corners like that, or is there like a smaller?
Well, so that's a good question. The question is how you get into the corners or how you get, close to the wall with a hand polisher.
Hand polisher?
Right, and what I'll normally do is take these centers out, because you don't need them, right? Write on it what the grid is, and then you can get, then on your Makita, you can get 3-inch backers, right? They come with 7-inch backers.
Yeah.
But you get a 3-inch backer, and like you can see right here, if this were the corner, you literally can get right up to it. As you get good working this machine, you see how high the machine sits?
Yeah.
So a lot of times these machines, if it's a 17-inch machine, they'll run the plate on the bottom is like a 15 or 16-inch machine. We have ours is we put the plates are on risers, so literally that plate comes all the way to the edge of the machine. So if you're good at running a machine, you can get right up along the wall,
Yeah.
and that time will come for you.
It will.
Yeah, most machines, they won't set this high. This skirt would sit over the dry plate, so you couldn't get any more than an inch or two to the wall. And not only that, I've only been to a couple of houses where I see the people walking down the hall like this on the edge, right? Because people don't walk on the edge. It's the edge that you're trying to make the rest of the floor look like. So normally you can feather it in.
Or you could be at my house Saturday,
This would be a nightmare.
walking on the edge.
Falling out of the wall. But and people take them off. That doesn't do shit. Yeah. I was just saying, MDF baseboards would get thrashed with this much moisture.
Yeah, I will tell you. Yeah, so we have a product. We sell a product called Tape and Drape, where it's got the I thought I had some out here. Mark, what'd you do with the Tape and Drape from yesterday?
Vulnerable. Here's your floor.
Should be by the chair.
And over like this, right? So that gap
In the bucket?
No, the bucket's right here.
under there. Yeah, if you get the baseboards wet here, the surface is not going to hurt, but underneath, that's where they're going to post the rest. We learned that from being tile cleaners for many years.
Here, let me just grab. I'm not going to open it. I'll just show them.
To your right.
Mark,
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So a lot of times, so you don't hurt the tape, you have to put the like the painter's tape on first, and then you got to put like a duct tape or something on top, a vinyl tape on top of that because it's not waterproof. We sell this stuff. Matter of fact, well, probably Fridays is the day where guys come in to get their supplies. We sell this stuff by the cases. This is waterproof, and it leaves less resin or less glue. It doesn't leave any glue behind.
But if you're putting that on a flat painted MDF board that's mounted over and there's a gap, there's a million.
Yeah, so what a lot of guys will do is they'll take this and they'll actually tape it on the floor
Right,
here
right,
and then pull this up the wall.
right.
And there's like a static electricity, so this will actually stick to the wall. So if you're taping here, it doesn't get to that.
So you're not going to get the 1 inch along the edge.
Normally you don't have to because that's what you're trying to match.
Right, exactly. That's usually
Right.
the part that's not polished.
And if you've got to get that close, you're right. Even if you do it by hand, you're going to get water under there.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So there's no way. Yeah, there's no way to protect against
Yeah,
that.
we had to evolve how we clean tile over the years because of the stupid MDF baseboards. Yeah, but, you can tell people.
Next week we have a class on how to lift the handle up.
Yeah.
That one is a
Let it
pain.
go
Here,
down for
here,
a minute. Just jiggle it a little bit back and forth.
here.
I see that on a lot
There you go.
I'm gonna vacuum it up with that.
Sure. Yeah, since our vacuum guy is sleeping over there in the corner. He's got it. All right, who's doing 1,500? Yeah. When I do these classes, I really work hard not to make it an infomercial because I really want you guys to get good and understand and learn. But when it comes to stuff like this, it's just important that stuff like this is a game changer.
Guys, in a house, you're not going to have it installed like this. You're going to have MDF basement. California is not good with MDF either. It's MDF. The problem is the contractors start pushing it. They get painted white. The guy, customers buy for less than MDF. Depending on what element. It's easier to sell it on
Okay.
You guys are gonna have to give this dude some room. He grew up doing an orbital. He didn't have to fuck with the one.
Okay. So that's at 800. So the difference between where we are now and when we came in.
And 800 is about step one on those dip pads. Okay.
And now once that dries, we're okay on the color, but now we're starting to get a little bit of reflectivity. Normally what an 800 will look like, if you're looking straight down on it and it's dry, you'll see a glare from the lights above, but you're not going to see any clarity. And the light coming from above is going to be still kind of orange. It's not going to be that white, right? If you stand back and you look at it at an angle like this, you get a little bit more clarity to it. Where now when we get to the 15, you're going to see, so just kind of look at this and kind of get an idea for where it's dry, how it's still kind of chalky. The next time we go up, you're going to get a lot more color. And you don't see the orange peel yet because the only place you see orange peel is where it's still wet. So you're not going to, if you run these and you're going to leave it honed, you're safe running 200, 400, and 800.
So step one, orange peeled it.
Yeah, but you're not going to see
Well,
that.
you'll see
Well,
that.
step two did, so 400 did, 200 did, 400 did, 800 did, a little bit.
A little bit, okay. And then that gets corrected as we keep going up, or no?
Yeah, and then when we go to the restoration, we're going to restore this, and you're going to see,
So if you orange peel it, you're fucked unless you go to a restoration pad. You can't do that with the dip pads.
no, because they don't cut flat enough.
Okay, got it,
Right?
got it.
All your shine's going to be really high, but your clarity comes from how flat you cut.
Gotcha,
Right?
gotcha.
So, and chances are, like if you wanted to run a step one in somebody's house, if you go back and look what you did, now that you know what the texture looks like, you'll probably see a little bit of it. Your customer doesn't know.
Yeah, we probably did.
Yeah,
actually.
see, because all your customer sees is shiny. They just want shiny, right?
Right.
So you can get away with that. But I guarantee you, going back to that picture, if you go 200, 400, 800 and go up, your customer's going to see that,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So you're either going to hone with these pads or you're going to polish with these pads. You're not going to restore with these pads. Okay? Like when we restore a floor, we're going to go up to 1800 in diamond and then go step 3 of the pads you have, and you're going to have, it's going to be a perfect polish, right? Or the other option is you can stop at 800 and go step 2 and step 3, but there's a pretty decent difference in the clarity by going that one more step of diamond.
Got it.
Okay, all right, 1500. So in your mind's eye, kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. So here's what we're going to do. If you guys can remember that are running the machine, we're going to leave that top row alone. Okay, so you can see the difference between 800 and 1500. And then we're going to leave the top 2 rows alone when we go to 3000. And those are the 3 most popular looks on the travertine. Okay, and then we can do whatever we want to do over here. But that way, and a lot of times because there's a lot of travertine out there. Then you can get like a 12 by 12 or an 18 by 18 with the 3-inch, and actually have a sample to go in there. When because the customer says, I want a satin look or I want a patina look. That could be so many different levels, right? That's like having somebody come in and paint your house and go on vacation. Just tell them you want the walls painted tan or beige. There's a million different levels of beige, right? So this you can go. They say I don't want a high polish. I just want a patina look. And then on your 12 by 12, you'll have an 800, a 1500, and 3000. Now they can point to what one they want, and that saves you from having to do a demo.
Right.
Okay. And a lot of guys that are in the stone industry, when they're going out to do a demo, they're not going out there to do a demo for free. Yeah, more and more. That's happening more and more often, right? Your water heater goes down. They're not coming out to tell you what's wrong with your water heater for free. Right? They'll take that off whatever. If you decide to get it fixed, they'll discount that off what they're charging you, right? But if you're driving 20 minutes in the car and an hour to do your demo and then 20 minutes till your next, and you're not getting paid for it, it doesn't make sense. And I think there's some value into that. And most people, you're going to run into them, most people that are getting their stone done aren't looking for the cheapest guy. May not be looking for the most expensive guy. But the guys that are successful doing this, they're getting paid for it, especially the guys that are coming from the carpet industry, right? Because if you weren't going to get paid more money for doing this in the same amount of time, then this doesn't really, what you're learning today doesn't mean anything, right? And when guys walk in here and say, man, I'm booked out, especially in the way things are right now, I'm booked out till the middle of June. Well, if you're booked out till the middle of June, you probably ought to be raising your prices. Because, and the guys that can look somebody in the face saying, this is what I'm charging, they do half the jobs and make more money. There's too many people out there that are charging to stay busy instead of charging to make money, right? Who's going? He doesn't look very excited about boss.
I don't care. He's gonna break something.
Yeah.
Are you good there?
Gonna try and aim from. Gonna try and aim
All right. So the safety switch has to be pulled out.
Yeah.
Is that too low? Is the handle too low for you? You want?
It's probably fine for me.
Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna try to here. Let me do this as a reminder. Yeah. So we're gonna do the bottom 3 rows. I'll just do this because I will forget.
Doing it in a house when dry, taking air remover too.
For granite it is, because granite takes, first of all, the only people in this room that have the right machine to do granite is him. Because it's heavy, it's more consistent than these machines. I'm talking about if you're grinding, right? Not for doing what you need to do to bring it back. And we do have, you could try, what color is your granite? Okay. You can use the Polish Pro, like I did, and we have a powder called Pro Shine, which is like a granite polish, and it's black that will help with your color. So you'll put a little bit of that down for each section and then crystallize it like we did.
Now, you sure I couldn't use my machine for that? For the crystal?
You would be able to use, no, you can, you're not, that's not going to generate enough heat. You can use that to clean it. But yeah, you need heat. If you wanted to try it, you could. And the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to get swirl marks that won't go away until you generate the heat you need. Okay, but you can go to Home Depot and rent one of these machines. I think they're $40 a day. And you're going to have to add weight to it. But just get a bucket of water or a bag of sand or something and just set it on top of the motor. Oh, okay.
Around again, I heard you say something. I thought all I needed to buy was the crystallizer. I need to buy some.
You can add to it if you want to help with the color. That's why I asked what color it is. So you can add. It's not, man, it will help it look better, but It will just help with the color. And literally, this will do about 50,000 square feet. You literally just use like a little pinch. If you're doing an area like the size we were crystallizing, just a little pinch, and then do the crystallizer. You only add this once, but you do your crystallizer, and this will help. This will help with the color. Okay, it's not going to help you a lot with the polish, but it will help you with the color. So that just, I've got some videos of doing granite countertops using this with the Polish Pro, and I can send you a link, even though it's a countertop. The only difference is I'm using a hand machine instead of a floor machine. You know, another good cleaner for your for that granite, if you want to use something stronger than vinegar but stay away from the real strong acid, would be this. It's an organic acid replacement. It's safe on plants, it's safe on everything. But it's a great cleaner. Or you can do the vinegar thing, whatever you want to do. I notice he's standing up now. When he heard about you were going to go for his knees, he got up out of his chair.
Smart man, stand it back over there.
Where do you go to get your supplies and stuff? Foothill? Well, who else is out that way?
Apartment cleaning stuff, you get most of it from truck route forums, or end cap store for low moisture stuff. And
Yeah.
that's- And then again, the amount of stone polishing we do is like, we've literally done one so far, you know, because I had one that like, this looks like an easy one. I like to cherry pick the ones that aren't gonna give you shit, you know?
Yeah. Well, just going forward, because I know it's a pain out here. We ship out of here every day, and I just adjust the price of the freight. You're not really paying any freight.
Right.
You just need a day for me to get it there.
Okay, cool, yeah. Yeah, this stuff, whatever, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
We come in, we get like the Ultimate Pro for granite sealing and the,
yeah.
the stone scrub and the,
I'm just, if you want to save the, because I want to, yeah.
yeah, we get all that.
If you want to, but if you want to save yourself the drive, and I discount the product to eat your freight.
Okay, cool. So we'll do that. Yeah, do you still have this stuff over at Foothill, or they still?
They do. I don't know, because I haven't been involved with the distributors for so long.
He moved like a couple years ago, or a year or two ago.
Did he?
Yeah, yeah. He was on Foothill and Benson forever. And then
Yeah. Where is he now?
He's like just up the street, but much smaller place. Yeah. So, but I know he has the products. That's a lot of times. That's where we go to get him. It's Florida Ranch. It's like
Yeah.
right there. You know what I mean? So if we need like.
Well, and they shut Aramco down, right?
Yeah, Ramsco left a while ago. Yeah. That's yeah.
And there was a guy across the street from them in Ontario.
From Ramsco? Oh yeah, I never went in there. I know who you're talking about though. Yeah. Problem is, guys like Rob at TMF, he made the whole viability of having Facebook groups and all that and selling online. He just kicked everybody's ass on that. You know,
Yeah.
really. Yeah. It's,
Yeah, it's fun to watch him and Mikey be in the same room at the same time.
oh yeah. You might. Mikey P blocked me, man. Every time he sees me, he's like, I'm like the one guy he's like looking up to, and he can't give me any shit because he knows I'll just end him. But he's not a bad guy. He comes across as an asshole, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he likes that, but he's technically very knowledgeable. Yeah, I give him credit for that. He's just a total.
Here, I'll get the handle.
You exhausted, Nick?
All right, go take a nap. What's up, Sylvester? Okay. What was the color? Okay, I got it. Just one. He just needs one. The NutriShield. Nature Shield. That's just a sealer? Yeah, move him to the Pro Sealer. Yeah, that's a better product. But I do have the Desert Sand. Okay, thanks. Bye. Great vacuuming job there, sir. Now he's taking my job of drying. So now he took my drying job.
But at the same time, we put water, actually they're kind of penetrate through them. A lot of time after we dump, you see like March, because the water vaporizes and they get through the porous surface. And
Yeah.
we have a sealer on top. You see
That doesn't matter. Sealer, the stone continues to breathe. Sealers, if on your impregnated sealers, they don't trap anything.
Okay. Do we have a good way to get the water? Because sometimes when we go there, like, nah.
No, just or you can put air on it or heaters on it, but no, especially stuff like this white. You can see how it's dark. So I would wait a full day for something like this. Here, the water could sit on much more without a problem.
About how many square feet do you get per pad? Like,
Running on these type of machines, you're probably getting 5,000 to 7,000.
how do you know when it's bad?
It doesn't polish. It won't do anything. I have Costco's running those pads on their concrete floor on big ride-on auto scrubbers, and they're getting 500 to 700,000 square feet out of it. So a lot of it depends on what kind of machines you're running on. I don't believe he's getting that much. That's what he's telling me, because the store is 140,000 square feet, but with all their racks and everything they've got going on, you know, he's doing 50 or 70 because they're going around every. So now you can see we've got, now that it's drying, now I can actually see the tubes. Let me get a towel and wipe it dry so we can see it a little bit better. Are we out of microfibers? Are we out of microfibers? Do you have any back there? See, they're normally right there. Yeah.
Johnny.
Are the drinks and stuff out here too?
I got them in the freezer.
Okay.
They're just cool.
So the pizza's here. It's 11 o'clock. You want to finish the last couple steps of this, or you want to eat now and then come back?
Eat, finish it.
All right. Who's for eating?
Right here.
Who's for finishing?
Yeah.
1-1. Okay, we'll finish.
There we go. Cold pizza.
If you want, grab a piece now. No, we can eat while we watch.
It's true.
I don't know why they deliver the pizza so early. Okay, I just use my hand. Okay, can you see the difference between the two? There's no, if you see the light and walk it up, it just. So this is again, and again, you're looking here. See how we still have it's kind of chalky. We're losing that chalkiness, but you can feel the texture in it. But you don't see it yet because we're not polished. All right. Who's running 3,000?
I haven't run one before, so you will see.
You haven't run one of these?
No.
But you have Benoster pads.
Oh, I have my guy that.
Oh.
I'm smarter. So.
Break the wall.
Okay, we're going to stay in these two rows here. What do we have under? I don't know if I put the right. Let me check and see what pad this is. Yeah, I got it. I've done that doing classes, and somebody will say, "Are you supposed to have like 3 pads on there at one time?" Because I just keep. Well, thank you. Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll make sure until you. Okay, as soon as that comes on, you're going to go that way, just so.
So down is to the right.
Okay, so we're spinning this way, right?
Right.
So if you catch this edge, you're going that way, right? It's like driving a car. If you want to turn left, you push your blinker down. You want to turn right, you push the lever up for the blinker, right? All right. So you got to pull that. There's a thing in the back there. You got to pull that and then squeeze the trigger. And I'll hold on to the machine till you get both hands on there. Some water here. Okay. Okay, we're going to do these 2 rows all the way across once you get the hang of the machine. Not bad for not working a machine before. It's like playing shuffleboard.
My first time I tried it one time on cement. It's different on cement with the bristles. It
Yep.
grab really hard.
Just depends on what's underneath it, what surface it's on.
Yeah.
That's the hardest on carpet.
I've never.
You really gotta. Well, when you got a fucked up carpet that someone hasn't taken care of, and we put like pads like that, just a different pad under there, and we'll just. Hit it, then before we hit it with the truck, and then it just melts off.
Well, that was the whole idea behind like the Trinities and the Orbots, is you can encapsulate without unwind.
It's like a blue fiber pad, which is
Yeah.
one step up from a red one, a lot softer than these.
Yeah, because they're not supposed to even run these machines for encapsulation anymore, because supposedly it unwinds the.
You get fags like Mikey P writing the standards at this point or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
he's just a definition of a sellout, you know what I mean? It's people watch me because I was giving him shit about his LVP standard, because he was bragging about it, saying, yeah, if you exceed 110 degrees, you voided the warranty, you stupid cleaner. So in
Yeah.
California and Arizona, when it's set in the house, in the truck, it already is voided, you know what I mean? I've got video after video of taking UV lights to brand new LVP4s that are all fucked up and manufacturing defects on them or whatever, and I posted them and I kept trolling them with it, and he just,
Yeah. Now he.
then I trolled him harder,
Well, we used to do a lot with Mikey's board,
yeah,
and Mikey doesn't pay for anything,
yeah,
right? He makes money on everything.
Yeah.
Like I did. I've been involved with 2 of his Ronald McDonald houses.
yeah.
He does. I mean, it's a good thing what he's doing, but he's making money. He's not paying for the stay. He's not paying for any of that.
Yeah.
And when we stopped doing things for free,
Yeah,
he stopped talking to us.
yeah. That's what happens when cleaners get old.
Yeah.
You can't do it physically anymore, so they turn into that. That's why I lied about my age.
So will this be the last step?
On travertine, it's the most popular. We can go higher. I mean, there's 2 steps higher than this. That we'll do just on those on the white marble. Yeah, we're looking good to get you guys out of here at 1. Any idea how many passes you've done? Okay. Nice job keeping count. I always forget to count.
these over the 1, 2, 3 step pads?
It gives you more levels, right? Because you go from, on the Monastra pads or the Elite pads, you go from 800 to 3,000 to 11,000, right? So on travertine, you don't have where 1,500 is probably the most popular. These just give you more options. So I normally have, if you're doing a lot of marble, the Elites are the way to go. Get an A+ for getting that handle up.
Now, you said you could do how many square feet an hour?
With these per step, you probably do 1,000, 800 to 1,000 per hour.
Each step?
When it comes to pricing this stuff out, it's hard to do it by the square footage because you're not going to charge the same amount for doing 500 square feet as you do 2,000, right? So, I'll wait. Most of the time when you quote a job, we're quoting it by the square foot, but it's kind of tough to figure that out by pricing, right? Because if you're doing an entryway, say that's this size, you're not going to, or you're doing something that's 1,000 square feet. Okay, and let's just say you're going to 3 steps. So let's just say you're $1.50. If you're going to run step 1, step 2, step 3 of the Elite pads, right? Well, so if you're doing 1,000 square feet, that's $1,500. But if you're doing 80 square feet, you're not doing it for $1.50, right? Because you're still gonna prep time, right? So after you've done a few jobs and you have an idea, and especially if you've done a demo and you know what steps you need to do, you need to do it by time, right? So for those of you guys that running a business now, when you're figuring time, you know what your overhead is, you know what your material cost is, you know what you need to make an hour or a day to stay in business and make money. So knowing that, if you know you've got a job that's going to take you 4 hours, that's how you're charging it. Then you can divide that into square footage and tell. But doing a 60 or an 80 square foot entryway doesn't change his labor rate, right? So that's kind of how to look at it. If you want to charge it by the square footage, I'd say anything that's 750 or higher, you want to be, depending on what you're doing, but you want to be anywhere from $50 to $1 per square foot per step. If you're crystallizing, you're going to be the lowest, and that's 1 step. If you're doing, because your total cost in crystallizing, including your labor, is going to be about 12 cents per square foot. So I can go 50 cents a square foot, have a really inexpensive option, do 1,000 square feet, right? Make $500, and my cost is on that 1,000 square feet is 10 or 12 bucks, right? Because it's so fast. But if you're doing these steps and you got 3 steps, right? If you're at 60 cents a step, you're at $1.80 a square foot. If you want to score it out that way, when you're doing restoration, you got to be closer to 75 cents to $1 because you've got a lot more labor involved. All right.
So you said you're gonna email the PowerPoint, or you gonna email a video too?
Yeah, I can do that too. Yeah, so if you want the PowerPoint, I send it via WeTransfer because the file's too big for me to just send a regular email, and then you'll have like 3 days to download it. See, but now that we're getting a polish, okay. Now you can see it's easier to see where we've textured it, especially if you come look at the marble. Yeah. But you can see that there's no.
Those last two, they got the last step, right?
Yeah. So this is your most popular. These are your three options on your. You got an 800, a 1500, and then a 3000.
Seems like the crystallizations still look better though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that's a higher polish. You get on travertine, they don't want to go that high. I can go 2 more steps, and I'll just do these last 2 real quick so we can break, and then we can get into restoration after we eat lunch. Can you grab me the 8000? Toss it up there on the white. Here, I'll go ahead and do a couple rows of the travertine too so you can see it.
So with all these pads, can you use both sides?
No. Well, you can, but you only have diamond on one side.
Which one are the elite pads again? The one with the diamonds, or?
They all have diamonds. They're the 3-step. Grab that one. We're gonna do those after lunch.
Are the ones you just showed us elite?
No,
No.
they're different systems. The zoom pads give you multiple levels. The elites get you to a high polish in 3 steps.
Okay.
The elites are the dip pads, right?
They're both dip pads. All right. Huh? We sold out. Do you have somebody needs white? Can you see the texture in that now?
Right now. Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, but see the texture?
Yeah.
When you see that light, it's like all the little bumps.
A little grainy.
What grit was that? That was good now.
8,000. Well, it looks good, except there's no clarity because of all the orange, all the texture we put into it. Right? It almost looks like a piece of quartz that's got that. But see how much darker we're getting now too? So I want to do this real quick. We'll take a look at it, break to have some lunch. When we come back, we'll do the Elite 3-step on this marble right here so you can see what we can do in 3 steps. And then we'll restore the damage up here and be out of here round 1. You want to go ahead and just run it on these 4? Or these 6, the 4 white and these 2? You just need a running start. Once you get going, you're good. Are you get?
Yeah.
Who out here has ever been Tacos Cholos? Nobody?
Oh yeah,
Is it good?
yeah,
I saw a TikTok actually.
yeah. It's a matter of fact. If the wind's blowing right, you can smell it from here.
It's not too far.
It's about 1.5 miles down State College. They're out there every day, cooking all that meat outside.
Supposed to be the best tacos in California.
When you're done, just add a little bit more water so you can vacuum it up. Yeah, we should be good. There you go. See, that's better than the crystallizer. Now.
Oh, yeah.
But now look how bad the texture looks now. It's terrible.
What, the travertine?
Yeah, because we went too low on the diamond impregnated pads. So
Wax.
We started too low.
yeah, which Banasa pads don't go that low. They start at about 8. But you can still get a little bit of orange peel. So now this is what we'll restore when we come back. And yeah, you can see how bad the orange peel is on this one too.
So if you guys started at 800 versus 400 on the travertine,
You get a little bit, not much.
less orange peel.
Yeah. Yeah, you can really see it now. Because it's nice, it's super shiny, but there's no clarity.
Yeah, you can see that.
It's like a grainy, shiny.
Yeah,
That's what you're talking about.
yeah.
And why did that happen?
Because we went too low in the diamond impregnated pads.
Wow, you mean the 200 all the way?
200, 400, and 800. We want to stay away from if we can.
That's why you
Right.
identify where you can start.
Right,
at.
and most floors you go in to do restoration, like his guy that's using the pads, in most cases, if he starts at step 1, it's going to make the floor worse instead of better. Okay, and if he's doing it right, he should always be trying step 2 or step 3 and then work backwards from there. So step 3 and step 2 on the pads we're going to run after we eat is like a 3,000. You're not going to get damage from that. Yeah, and your guys had a little bit, but it wasn't this bad because I went 2 and 4. You guys started at 8, and 8's minimal,
Yeah.
right? And if you're running these, you're better off not running a 40-pound dry plate.
We probably would have been better starting with the second pad than the first one, actually, step 2. I mean, that's
Did the first one take it down a little bit?
Yeah, but the floor, it was pretty dirty and dull looking. That's why I made that decision based on pure ignorance. But it was like, all right. So, but yeah, looking back at it, and I'd say we probably could have started with step 2. Yeah.
Always have an eye where you're going to start and start one step higher, and then always step down if you have to.
Okay, after we did it, I mean, no one was complaining. Everyone was
Right.
happy, so it's like, all right, but yeah, looking back at it, step 2.
All right, pizzas are behind you, and the drinks are in the freezer behind the counter there. It's 15, 20 minutes going to be enough time for you guys?